A home is more than just bricks and mortar. It's a sanctuary, a safe harbor, a place filled with memories. For Prince Harry, Frogmore Cottage was all of that. After their wedding, his grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II, granted Harry and Meghan the use of the residence. It was the home they renovated, the place they brought their son, Archie, home to. More than anything, it was meant to be their anchor in the UK. But in early 2023, that anchor was torn away. The order to vacate came directly from his father, King Charles. For Harry, this wasn't just an administrative shuffle. It felt like a deeply personal and brutal rejection, a move that exposed the raw, gaping wound at the heart of the world's most famous family. Getting evicted from Frogmore Cottage wasn't just about losing a house for Prince Harry. He reportedly saw it as the final, brutal rejection from his own father. His emotional response, captured in a simple, 7-word question, reveals the true depth of the family rift and leaves any hope for reconciliation hanging by a thread. What was that question, and what does it tell us about the future of the monarchy? The answer reveals a story of pain, power, and a father and son who seemed to be at a point of no return. The news broke like a thunderclap in early 2023, just days after the world finished digesting the bombshells in Prince Harry's memoir, Spare. Another one dropped. Harry and Meghan were being evicted from Frogmore Cottage. A spokesperson for the couple confirmed they had been requested to vacate their residence. The timing was impossible to ignore. For months, the palace had kept a stoic silence in the face of Harry's accusations. But behind the scenes, a different strategy was taking shape. The eviction notice was the institution's formal reply. It was a cold, decisive action that spoke louder than any press release ever could. Frogmore Cottage wasn't just any property. It was a historic home on the Windsor estate that the late Queen had granted them use of in 2018. They had poured their hearts into it, repaying the £2.4 million in sovereign grant funds used for the refurbishment, a move that left the Crown with what was called a greatly enhanced asset. It was their last real foothold in the United Kingdom. The true value of Frogmore lay in its security. Tucked inside the protected Windsor estate, it was covered by the Royalty and Specialist Protection Unit. Royal author Omid Scobie called it their only true safe option for UK visits. A friend of the couple described the decision as a crushing blow and a cruel punishment. It felt final. An insider told The Sun, "This eviction surely spells the end of Harry and Meghan's time in the UK." The message seemed crystal clear. You've chosen your path, and it's no longer inside these protected walls. According to Scobie, the speed of it all left the Sussexes stunned, and he alleges that at least 2 other senior royals were appalled. The finality was driven home by the next piece of news. The cottage had reportedly been offered to Prince Andrew. To Harry, this must have felt like the ultimate insult. The family home head built being handed to the one royal who had brought profound shame upon the institution. Once the eviction notice landed, the cold reality of the decision began to sink in. This wasn't a negotiation, it was a royal command. In his book Endgame, Omid Scobie paints a picture of a distraught Prince Harry picking up the phone to call his father. What allegedly followed wasn't a shouting match, but a moment of raw, desperate emotion. Another royal author, Tom Quinn, claimed Harry was absolutely furious and in tears, seeing the eviction as nothing but vindictive. This was a son pleading with his father, not a prince addressing his king. According to Scobie's account, Harry made a last-ditch appeal, one that wasn't about property or status, but about the bond between a grandparent and his grandchildren. It was in this moment that he reportedly asked a simple, yet profoundly loaded, 7-word question. Don't you want to see your grandchildren? This question, as reported by Scobie, was Harry's emotional Hail Mary. It was a direct appeal to Charles the grandfather, not Charles the king. It was a reminder of Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, the grandchildren the king has sadly not seen much of. It was an attempt to find a flicker of family warmth inside the cold machinery of the monarchy. The response, as Scobie tells it, was anything but warm. Instead of reassurance, Harry apparently received a half-hearted declaration that they would always have somewhere to stay. That word, somewhere, just hung in the air, a vague, non-committal placation that offered no real comfort. It sounded like the institution talking, not a father. The exchange, if it happened as described, would have confirmed Harry's worst fears, that the decision wasn't just business, it was personal. Scobie frames Charles' action as a cheap shot from a wounded father, bound by a system that doesn't have much room for human emotion. While the eviction felt like a targeted punishment to Harry from inside the palace, the story was framed very differently. This wasn't just an angry tantrum, but a calculated move from a new king under immense pressure to create a leaner, more efficient monarchy. According to Omid Scobie, one of the loudest voices pushing for the eviction was Princess Anne. Known for her no-nonsense attitude, the Princess Royal was supposedly at the forefront of the supporters of the firm approach. Scobie claims and persuaded Charles that it was time to take Frogmore back. Her logic was stark and institutional. Harry and Meghan weren't working royals, and they lived abroad. In the cold math of a streamlined monarchy, a secure home on the Windsor estate was a perk they no longer earned. Scobie writes that Charles knew she was right. This paints the decision not as spiteful, but as practical, an economical decision, as one expert called it. From this angle, why should the crown maintain an expensive, high-security property for a couple who only used it a few days a year? It was about managing resources. But that practical argument was immediately complicated by the very next move. Offering the key, losing Frogmore Cottage wasn't just symbolic. It created a real-world security nightmare for Prince Harry. When Harry and Meghan stepped back as senior royals, they lost their publicly funded police protection. Frogmore became their only viable safe zone in the UK. Because it's on the Windsor estate, it falls under the protection of the Met's Specialist Royalty and Specialist Protection Unit, a level of security that a private team in a London hotel just can't replicate. As Omid Scobie put it, the eviction took away the only sufficiently secure refuge they had in Britain. Without it, every potential visit becomes a security risk, especially for their children. This isn't just a hypothetical worry. It's the core of Harry's legal battles with the Home Office. He has said repeatedly he doesn't feel it's safe to bring his family to the UK without guaranteed police protection. So, the eviction wasn't just about taking away a house. For Harry, it was about taking away the possibility of a normal family life in his own country. King Charles's reported offer that they'd always have somewhere to stay completely misses this point. Somewhere doesn't automatically come with top-tier security. A friend of Harry's told the Sunday Times that he would love to bring the kids, but he won't risk their safety to do it. The one exception? An official invitation to a royal residence like Sandringham or Balmoral for a family event, which would likely include automatic security. This technicality has become the linchpin of the entire standoff. It's a circular problem. Charles wants to see his grandkids, and Harry wants his kids to see their granddad. But the king's own act of taking away their secure base has made those visits nearly impossible in Harry's view. Harry's reported plea, "Don't you want to see your grandchildren?" wasn't just a moment of pain. It has become the central theme in his attempts at reconciliation. He's using his children, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, as the ultimate olive branch. This grandchildren gambit keeps popping up, especially in reports about Harry hoping for a summer invitation to a royal estate. For years, both sides have lamented the distance. It's well known that King Charles is sad he doesn't know Archie and Lilibet well. As of 2026, he has still only met his granddaughter Lilibet once, during the Platinum Jubilee in 2022, a moment sources called very emotional. This desire for a grandfatherly connection is the emotional leverage Harry keeps trying to use. Friends of the Sussexes have framed recent reconciliation hopes around this exact theme, suggesting Harry wants an invitation to Sandringham or Balmoral specifically so the king can spend time with the children. The palace, however, seems wary of this approach. Sources close to the king point to low trust, implying that public appeals through the media aren't the way to fix private family problems. There's a feeling that Harry's pleas are seen as a way to pressure Charles instead of a genuine, private attempt to reconnect. This situation is made even trickier by the different attitudes of the king and Prince William. While sources claim Charles might be ready to forgive, William reportedly won't hear of it. This creates a stalemate at the very top. This leaves the grandchildren caught in a tragic royal trap. They are both the proposed solution to the feud and its innocent victims. Harry is holding out for an official invitation that provides security. The king seems to be holding out for a private show of trust. Until one of them budges. Archie and Lillibut remain separated from their royal heritage, their relationship with their grandfather held hostage by the very family rift they are supposed to heal. The story of Frogmore Cottage is about family, duty, and the painful space in between. So what do you think? Was the eviction a necessary move by a new king drawing a line in the sand, or was it a cruel, personal rejection of a son? Is there any path back to reconciliation, or are the wounds now just too deep? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to keep up with the ongoing saga of the House of Windsor, make sure you subscribe. The eviction from Frogmore Cottage was a watershed moment. Harry's poignant, seven-word question to his father cut to the emotional core of the conflict. A son's desperate wish for his children to know their family, versus a monarch's duty to protect the institution. From the cold logic of the decision to the reported hypocrisy of offering the home to Prince Andrew. Every detail speaks to a family in a deep crisis. Today, the standoff continues. Any hope for a reunion hinges on the fragile issues of trust and security, with the grandchildren caught in the middle of a royal endgame. The central question remains: can a father and son find their way back to each other across a divide made of duty, distance, and deep personal pain? For now, any hope of reconciliation hangs in the balance, a fragile possibility in a story that feels more and more like a tragedy.